Welcome to Silver Pros, sponsored by SD Bullion. I'm your host, Silver Dragons, and I'm joined by my co-host, Yankee Stacking. What's up, Yankee?
Hi, Silver Dragons. Great to be here.
Great to have you. This is a special episode of Silver Pros where we're going to talk about everything you need to know about silver. We're in a live stream right now, and we're going to be fielding questions from all of you, from the stackers, the viewers, and so whatever you want to know, we're going to be answering it to the best of our ability. And hopefully, if you're new to buying precious metals or if you've been around for a while, maybe we'll be able to answer some of your questions. So, shall we get started?
Let's go.
Okay, first one here from Walter is: would you go junk or 1 ounce rounds? So, I guess which is better for stacking, junk silver or silver rounds?
Assuming you have neither, I would start with the 1 ounce rounds. You got to have 3/9 fine silver. You just need it. And if you have none, you need to start. There's nothing like holding a 1 ounce silver round for the very first time. You've seen quarters, you've seen half dollars, you've seen dimes, but when you hold a generic silver round, whatever it is, or even a government minted silver coin, it is it changes things. I've seen it firsthand. So if you don't have any, I would start with a little bit of the 1 ounce rounds. Obviously, junk silver is important to get to, or 90% silver. So, if you already have rounds, get the 90%.
Let's move on. What's next?
Ooh, SF Stacker asks a good one. Do you want to read that one?
Sure. What's y'all's opinion on the Cook Island HMS Bounty silver 1 ounce? So these are silver coins. They've got a ship on them. Good quality. Why are they as cheap as generic rounds? Sometimes coins can be priced just the same as a generic round. It just depends on, supply and demand, obviously. In fact, let me show you what we got going on here over at SD Bullion. There's a perfect example of sort of what you're talking about. It's a different coin, but if we look, we can see they're selling the 1 ounce silver Philharmonics as low as $379 over spot. And if we scroll down, we can see we have some Sunshine Mint rounds for the same price. So there you go. Rounds priced the same as coins. If I was picking between the two, I'd pretty much always get the coin. What do you think, Yankee?
I agree. Full disclosure, before we started the stream, I was thinking, "Ooh, look at that 1 ounce Sunshine Silver rounds as low as $379 over spot." And you were like, "Yankee, look at the Phillies." It's like $379. Yeah, go with the Phillies there. So getting back to his question, SF Stacker, the Cook Islands HMS Bounty silver 1 ounce coin. Again, I'm not sure what year that is, but if the demand was low on that and they had a pile of supply, it's quite possible that it would be as cheap as a generic round.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I'd go with a coin over a round if they were the same.
Yeah, as far as quality, typically Cook Island is pretty
Hmm.
decent on their bullion
Hmm.
stuff. So yeah, I would say those are probably a really good buy. We have another question here from William Guy. He says, "Why are premiums so high for products at the U.S. Mint?" I think we all know American Silver Eagles are getting ridiculous. Basically, they're not really making enough coins. Not even close. In fact, if you go look at their production numbers for the past 3 months, I believe they haven't even made 1 million coins a month, which is extremely low. If you
Not
go,
profitable for them.
I guess, sure, they're not making any money off the bullion, but the thing
Right.
is, by law, they're supposed to supply enough to fill demand, but they don't want to do it. And
Mm-mm.
so, because they're not really producing anything, the premiums have just gotten insane. And I think Yankee and myself are advising people to not stack the Silver Eagles, right?
I agree. It's not worth it. If you want some, if you've never had any Eagles, you might get some, but don't stack it heavy. It's just not worth it. The other thing I'm really worried about, SD, is this going to change? Are they going to start manufacturing like they used to, or is this the new normal? In fact, are they going to stop the program? I know it would take an act of Congress, but would they potentially stop it?
I think they're headed that route. or
Hmm.
route, depending on tomato. Yeah, no, I think ultimately they would like to stop minting those
Hmm.
because, like we talked about, they're not really making money off them, and they would just want to focus on numismatics and some of the fun stuff that they are profiting off of. If we look at the past 3 years, they've made less and less every single year, and now they're basically hardly putting anything out at all.
I've seen Libertads for cheaper than a Silver Eagle.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is nuts.
Yeah. So, yeah, to me, the U.S. Mint, they're pretty much dead
Mhm.
at this point. I'm not even considering them for silver products.
You
Um,
said that. You said that to me once. You said the U.S. Mint, they're dead to me.
yeah, I'm not feeling it.
Yep.
I'd rather stack something with a lower premium. What do you think about this next question I got highlighted here, Yankee? If you want to
Is
read
it
it.
a Yeah, is it a good idea to get silver through a subscription box, or is it better to just go through a dealer? That was Yeet. Yeetmeister said that.
What do you think?
I never do subscription boxes. I find them to be sometimes a ripoff and sometimes not the best value. And I don't. I'm not a control freak, but I like to pick what I want. I like to know. Now, if you're going to do this for someone, maybe as a surprise, who's not a stacker, and they want to, you want to get them interested in this kind of like, ooh, what's going to come next? Yeah, maybe I can see it, but I'd rather do that myself. I'd rather do my own subscription box, right, and surprise somebody with it. So that's my opinion on them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I've heard sometimes in the subscription boxes they'll include more like numismatic or collectible type items. So for
Right.
those of us just wanting to stack silver,
Hmm.
purchase bullion, basically invest in physical silver, I don't think they're the best idea. I would prefer to just go to a local coin shop and buy my silver with cash, or to buy them online. And basically, whoever's got the better deal, that's who I like to buy from.
Joe Shirley Kuda, what do you think is the best silver to stack at this time? What do you think, SD?
Oh man, um, it depends on where you are in your stacking journey. For those just getting started, we already talked about junk silver versus 3/9 fine. I like 1 ounce sized silver items for people just starting out. Because then, if you ever need to sell, you can obviously sell 1 ounce at a time. When I first started stacking, that's all I bought, 1 ounce silver rounds. That was it. I think for those just getting into silver, that's a great route. Also, silver coins, if they are on sale, if you can get them at a reasonable price, like we pointed out earlier, there's the Philharmonic
Mhm.
coins on sale right now at SD Bullion. These can be a great option. But if you've already been stacking a while, maybe something like the Kilo silver bars, you're going to get a much lower premium if you get a big bar. This can be a great option as well. But in general, I would say generic silver, like we do have a 10 ounce Britannia bar here, pretty low premium. But across the
Yeah.
board, you want to be looking for the low premium type stuff. So whether that be generic silver rounds or generic silver bars, and also feather in some silver coins as well if the premium's low or if they're on sale. Is that pretty much what you would say, Yankee?
Yeah, I was going to just highlight that 10-ounce silver Britannia bar. I grabbed one of those, but right next to it, 1/10 ounce SD Bullion Freedom. No, I don't feel that one. Go with a full 1 ounce silver Bullion Freedom round. Skip the fractionals, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. But yeah, those are good options.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a question here from John. Hey guys, what are your thoughts about Scottsdale's 10 ounce bars? They're
Mm.
beautiful, but are they worth it? It's
The
funny.
stackers?
Yeah,
Are
I'm
those the
actually
Scottsdale
showing off
stackers?
some
Yeah.
Scottsdale stuff here. I don't have one of the 10 ounce bars.
Nice.
Their 10 ounce bars, I believe, were the first product they ever made, and they're still making them now. But I really do like Scottsdale. Their product's amazing. Their quality is insane.
Mhm.
If the premium is too much higher than another generic bar, though, I would probably go to something else. It just depends. Like, for example, if I was going to be paying an extra, let's say $1.50 per ounce, I'd probably go with the cheaper option. But that's just me.
Yep. The storage is sometimes a concern too, especially as your stack grows. I'm going to be upgrading my safe hopefully this year. And one of the things I looked at were the Scottsdale stackers and the way that I could organize each shelf and actually stack those nicely. That is an appeal, but you really don't want to spend too much for that benefit.
There you go. I'm seeing a lot of questions here about constitutional silver. There's
Mm.
about 5 or 6 of them here. And people are asking, is it worth the premium? Should we still be stacking it? I will say this. My LCS is selling junk silver for 24x right now. I would say if you have none, then certainly you should have some. Because when it comes to barter, in my opinion, that's going to be your best option. I know we all stack for different reasons, but you should have some silver you're able to barter with. Don't you think, Yankee?
You need it's one of my tier one stacking targets is 90% silver. Constitutional silver is a must own. It's just harder now, and I'm torn with it because you know where we are. We're trying. I'm trying to finish off my guardhouse boxes, and it's really difficult. And I go back and forth on this. Am I going to be upset 5 years from now, and I didn't finish off my constitutional silver stack? There is a limit. I'm actually having a certain amount that I'm after, and I want to reach it, but I'm trying to figure out, is that premium ever going to come down? I don't know. No one knows, but I think it's still worth buying. You just got to be really careful.
Yeah, just stack a little bit at a time. Yeah, buy some generic silver, some silver coins, and also buy some junk silver. Those are my 3 silver stacking pillars, is what I call them. So different names for the same thing, I guess.
Same thing. You got it.
What do you think about this next question, Yankee?
I love the Britannias, man. Is it worth buying Britannias despite milk spotting issues? Actually, these aren't that bad. Yes, it is. It's still a tough buy because of the premiums right now. I'm still not able to finish off my mini monster box on Brits, but I would not let the milk spotting hold you back on Britannias. Um, they do spot up, but sometimes, but it's still worth it.
Yeah, and I will say they're not the only silver coin that milk spots.
Oh, good point.
I've seen milk spots on silver eagles.
Hmm.
Um, I've seen them on, well, the Krugerrands, the
Phillies.
yeah, sure, the Phillies milk spot all the time. The
Yep.
kangaroos even sometimes. So it's pretty common.
Not
And
many rounds do though. They sometimes do, but not a lot. It's
yeah,
just going up.
sometimes the like proof or proof like rounds, if they have that
Mm.
finished, they'll be maybe a little bit more prone to milk spotting.
Mhm.
But the bottom line is, if your local coin shop is going to buy them back, whether they're milk spotted or not, then it doesn't really matter, right? Who's going to be buying them from you on the other end? So that's something you need to think about.
Mhm.
One coin shop I go to, they actually care a lot about the milk spots, and they'll pay you less for them. For example, let's say a maple or another coin has a dollar premium over a round. If it's milk spotted, they'll treat it like a round. They'll pay you the round premium for the buyback. But another coin shop I go to them it doesn't matter. So if I was going to sell my milk spotted stuff, I'd go to the other coin shop, right? So
Right.
always something to
My
consider your exit strategy.
my LCS Tim will also pay a little bit less for milk spotted, say maples. However, he will sell backdated maples for slightly less than some of the later ones. So post 2018 and on, because they fix the milk spotting issues with their mint shield technology. So I think it can work both ways on the buy and the sell.
Yeah, exactly. We got a question here from Derek, similar to one we talked about earlier, but the question is the premium on Silver Eagles worth it, or should I just buy 999 fine private mint silver rounds? I think we pretty much covered our
Yeah.
dislike for Eagles already. But for people that are new to silver, they see them, they're like, oh, it's from the United States of America. This must be more legit. It's the same ounce of silver,
Mm.
right? I mean, either way, you're getting 1 ounce of silver, whether it's an eagle or a round. So it's
I
just
do think, yeah, I think trust, recognizability, that is worth something, but it is not worth the extreme, premiums that we're seeing now. So I would shy away from stacking Eagles hard. Can I
yeah.
mention one last thing about the milk spot? I just thought of it.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Again, from a prepper stacker standpoint, there's another way to look at milk spots. It does kind of show that it's legit.
Hmm.
It shows that it was really it was made by the mint. It's not fake. They
Yeah.
don't they don't counterfeit milk spots.
I don't think I've ever seen yeah, milk spots on a fake piece of silver, so it's a security feature, if you will.
Yeah, right.
Just not the most beautiful one. Okay, next question. This one, wow, this is kind of a beginner type question here from Autumn, but what does spot mean and over spot mean? Do you want to field this one, Yankee?
Well, I'll start it and probably go back and forth on this one a bit. So the price that you see for silver and gold, other metals as well, anything really, in the commodities exchanges are split into two different um, numbers. You'll see two different prices, an ask and a bid. One is what you would buy it at, and the other is what you would sell it at. And there's a spread between those two because the person's that's selling it is trying to make a profit as well. So they'll sell it to you for a little more than they will buy it back from. Spot price is, the average of that, and it is the price of the commodity in a futures market. So it's the paper contracts that are bought and sold in a commodities exchange like the COMEX, and that is the price for a certain amount of silver that they have. And what they do is they use that to gauge the price and the demand, the supply and demand of silver in this case. And that is what we use to gauge how we buy our bullion at a retail, store at an LCS dealer. So when you see spot price, you will see a certain, the ask and the bid price, the two different prices, and you will pay the higher of the two.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's interesting.
Mhm.
Some of them
Mm.
will use the ask, some will
Yeah,
use the bid, and
yeah.
they all call it spot. And
Some
so
average them.
some do average, like you mentioned.
Hmm.
So there is some slight inconsistencies from dealer to dealer. But the bottom line is, when we're talking about spot, we're talking about the paper price for
Hmm.
silver. This is what the institutions, the powers that be, this is what they've decided the paper price for silver is. It's not the actual price for a physical ounce of silver, right? And so when we look at spot price, this is just the benchmark. And when you walk into a coin shop, they sometimes have it up on the wall. All of the online bullion dealers, they have the spot price usually at the top of their website. And that's kind of the starting place. Now, all of the products they sell are going to likely be over the spot price. They're going to cost more, right? Because you have to put in some, well, physical labor, if you will, to actually make the products. Whereas spot is essentially the price for a raw ounce of silver that's not in a coin form or a bar form or anything like that. So when you see over spot, this is just basically what's the premium, right? Are we paying a $2 or a $10 premium on a specific piece of silver? So if spot's 25, $2 premium, you'd be looking at $27, right? $2 over spot. If it's a $10 premium, $35. Does that pretty much answer it, you think?
Yeah, it's close enough. It is a challenging thing to explain because it combines both the physical retail markets as well as the contracts and futures markets in an exchange. So the paper price of silver is not the same as an actual physical piece of silver.
Right. And sometimes spot and physical products can be very close in price. When I first started stacking in early 2018, we could buy silver rounds for 65 cents over spot. And now you're looking at, $3 over for the cheapest you can find anywhere. So it's changed a lot over the years. But yeah, I mean, over spot and spot, I think we pretty much covered that. All All right. Let's keep on doing some more questions here. We got one from Donnie. I bought an Engelhard round from LCS. Are they rare? Are they still a company? It's funny. Engelhard, Johnson Matthey, some of these older companies, they don't do anything with silver anymore.
It's vintage silver.
Yes.
So you were going to pay extra for that name. Johnson Matthey, same thing.
Yeah. That certainly can be the case. I would say some people collect them. You can look them up. There is a website.
There's a question from Derek that I want to take a stab at
Sure.
without embarrassing myself. Can you explain the difference between COMEX Vault, eligible and registered? I was actually researching this last week, and it's an important distinction. So it's important also to realize that the COMEX itself doesn't store the silver or gold. There's no warehouse for the COMEX. They're distributed throughout different depositories that are approved by COMEX Exchange, like the Delaware Depository and others. There's two classifications, main ones. One is eligible, and that means that the silver meets the COMEX's requirements, and they're eligible to be stored. They're not set up to be actually traded. They're not opened for trade on the market. The registered is not only is it eligible, but it is now registered and fully available for delivery. So that actually can be used for delivery. The eligible isn't. So they'll play games. They'll shift that back and forth between eligible to not eligible. So you may have some large holder that wants to store it somewhere, and it's not going to be used for delivery for a contract. So if the contract matures and they say, oh, we want to take delivery of 1,000 ounces or 1,000,000 ounces, if it's registered, it can be. If it's eligible, it can't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Moving on, we got another question here. This one's from My Silver Journey. Question is, what do you think about Silver Shot? This is a great question.
That's a great question for you, because I've never bought a single ounce of Silver Shot in my life.
Yeah, let me tell you what I really think. No, I love Silver Shot because I make stuff with it. I melt it down and make my own silver products. But for someone who wants to, whether it be invest in silver, stack silver, or even barter with silver, Shot is pretty much the worst thing you can buy. Now, the premium is going to be low. But the problem with Silver Shot is nowhere is it labeled. It doesn't say 3.9's fine or anything on it, right? So maybe you bought it from a reputable place. You know it's 3.9's fine. But how is the person buying it from you going to test it, right? Really, the only way they can test it is by melting it down and then using a Sigma machine or using XRF or something like that. But there's going to be some labor involved in actually figuring out the purity of this, because 3.9's fine Silver Shot and sterling Silver Shot look almost identical. And even people that are used to dealing with it can still make mistakes. So it's simply not trusted. It's not good for barter. It's not good to sell to a coin shop down the road. Pretty much the only person you're going to be able to sell that to is a refinery, and they're going to pay you under spot. So I would say be very careful with that. Do not buy that for stacking purposes. That's not what it's for. Here's a question about Morgan and Peace dollars. So this is from Show Me Stacker. Would you stack some Morgan or Peace dollars as the price seems relatively the same as the last dip? Maybe the numismatic value protects them from dips. Interesting. What do you think, Yankee?
That actually may be the case, especially if there's some rarity to it. You won't see as much fluctuation with the spot price changing because they're already overpriced. They're very expensive in some cases. If you look at a Morgan silver dollar, I think it's like 0.77, 0.773, something like that, of a troy ounce. Mm-hmm. So if you calculate that out, you're going to be spending a lot more than you got to be careful there too. When you look at a Morgan, it's not an ounce, a troy ounce. So when you look at the price, you don't want to say, wow, I'm getting a great deal. And you're thinking it's a full ounce. It's not. Like I said, it's 0.773 something troy ounces. So maybe those numismatic inflated prices protect it from dips. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that
Hmm.
they probably do, but if you're going to be
Yeah.
purchasing Morgan and Peace dollars, just know that in a collapse scenario, that's going to pretty much go to the same price as all the other pieces of silver out there.
Right.
So
Two half dollars.
exactly, keep that in mind. Don't go crazy on them. They
Mm.
are certainly fun. I know a lot of people collect them. Actually, I just started buying Morgan silver dollars, and the reason I'm buying them is to actually put them in a book just for fun to collect them with my kids to help
Very nice.
introduce my kids into silver. It's kind of a fun thing to do, but it's mostly for collecting. I'm not really looking at that as stacking. Wow, this question does not. Well, I guess this does pertain to silver, but I'm going to let you tackle this one from
Oh, from
James.
James Smith. Will the American people rise up and choose real money over a central bank digital currency, CBDC? Which is more likely in your minds? God bless and best of luck to your mother. Yeah, well, thank you, James, for your wishes there. A central bank digital currency is a plague, a, an economic plague that we do not want to see break out in our nation. Will people rise up and choose? I don't think so. I think there'll be pockets of resistance. I think there'll be true patriots out there and people that care about preserving their anonymity, their privacy, their ability to buy what they want when they want to, and nobody needs to know about it. But unfortunately, we've got a large group, a demographic that's growing and it's going to become the predominant force in our society that don't really care one bit about that. Um, they just want what they want when they want it, and they don't care what kind of privacy they give up. It's really disconcerting. We have to speak out. We have to be strong about this, guys. It's a huge present danger that we're facing. So
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the amount of people right now that are choosing to stack is so low from a percentage standpoint. Um, yeah, I think the CBDC is gonna take over. It's gonna be terrible.
mm,
But you can choose what to do
mhm,
with your
mhm,
wealth. You can choose to put it into real money, to
mhm.
purchase physical gold, physical silver, and I would say probably do that sooner than later. You don't really want to drag your feet for years and even decades on this one because at some point it might just be too late. Okay, let's get to
Okay, on a happier note,
yeah. Here we got another question. This one's from Ron Wilson. Would you two buy Philharmonics BUs or random year ones? The price is only like 30-cent difference. Uh, is one better than the other for these? Here's my answer to this. When it comes to buying a specific type of silver coin, I always say buy the cheapest you can, with the exception of maple leaves. I would be willing to pay 30 cents more to get a new Canadian silver maple leaf as opposed to the old ones, which are guaranteed to milk spot. Um, that's the only one I would pay more for. Everything
you're
else,
paying. Yeah, it's a quality choice there. You're paying a little extra to get a better quality item
yeah,
in the
but
maples.
the
Right,
Philharmonics have not changed ever
right.
since they've been released. It's the
Hmm.
same exact product every single year. So I would not pay 30 cents more for the current year or a specific year. I would buy the random or whatever one's cheapest. Remember, you're stacking here. You want to buy as cheap as you can.
I think Ron also mixed a couple things there. He said, "Would you buy Philharmonic BUs, brilliant uncirculated, or random year one?" So you can get random year brilliant uncirculated. You can get Philharmonic BUs that are specific dates or random. So my thought was we were talking about the random years there, SD, but I think from a brilliant uncirculated, at some level, if you can get a Philly that's been dinged up for a lot
Mm.
less, buy it. Buy any government minted silver bullion you can get if it's hull circulated, scratched up, dinged for a really good discount. If you can find that good price, buy them.
Here's a question that I think is pretty interesting. This question comes from Mike. Would you give a piece of silver coins, or I suppose, would you give a silver coin to your 6-year-old granddaughter for her birthday? Wow. Wow. What a great gift. What do you think, Yankee? Have you considered giving silver to a young child? Before I answer here.
I think that's a great idea. You're not going to keep your expectations reasonable. A 6-year-old's not going to get, usually most 6-year-olds not going to get all hyped up over it. Some might, but they may, ooh, wow, that's awesome, Grandpa, and then run off to play. And that's fine. As they grow older, they'll appreciate it more. If you're going to do something, you might want to like put together something that you've collected for a while and then show it to them, or give it to them, I should say. When they're a little bit older, they'll appreciate it. It's your call. Uh, do it when they're young, get them used to it, and it'll become second nature. I think that's fantastic. You mentioned what you're doing with your boys.
Yeah.
I have behind me, you can't see it because my camera's off, but I have the Yankee stacking silver constitutional of the Constitutional Silver Series right up on the wall, and I put all the coins on there for my son, and he didn't know about it until I broke 100,000 subscribers, and he saw it live that day for the first time. He can't wait to come back and see it because I put the coins on there. I think that's important. You will instill a love for precious metals as well as our coinage if you do that at a young age.
Yeah. I was going to say, every single year I give my kids silver coins. And right now they're 4, 6, and 8 years old.
There you go.
So my boys, they love silver. They have their own little stacks going. So I'd say definitely start them young. I wish I had started when I was a young child. I think it's really important to teach our kids about inflation and
Right.
what real money is, and so I don't see anything wrong with it.
No, it's age dependent, right? You don't want to overdo it as a parent. Like you got to learn all this because you can take the love of it out. In fact, I'm curious, of their 3 boys, is there a varying degree of interest with the silver? Do you find some are one of them is like really interested in it more? Or are they all equally interested?
Yeah, I would say probably the older one. He's the most
Mm,
interested. I think he understands money a little bit more, and so I
right.
think when you learn the value of things, how much does everything cost, and you go, wow, this ounce of silver used to be $18, now it's 27 or whatever it is now. It's kind of cool for him. So yeah, I think as they get older, they get a little bit more into it for sure.
Oh no. Do we have to answer this one from Indecisive Panda?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Do you think silver will hit $30 an ounce this year?
Why don't you go first? What do you think, Yankee?
Well, you know what my prediction was last December, right? For
Hmm.
the end of this year, I thought it would be $25. Well, look at that. It's $25.19 right now. You said 30?
I said 32.
32. That's right. That's right.
Yes,
32.
32.33 repeating, of course, which is exactly what I said. I do think it will. I think we're on pace for it. I think they're going to start cutting rates come this fall, maybe the
Mm,
winter. Who
mhm.
knows how long they can hold off? But they're gonna need to start cutting rates, and once they do, silver and gold are gonna pop.
I still wouldn't be surprised if silver does take a hit. And I might still be right, SD. By the end of the year, it could dip down and then right
Timing,
back
yep,
up to 25, right?
yep. Timing wise, you could be right.
Who
Um,
knows?
Yeah, I mean, who knows how the year is going to end? I certainly think both are predictions that could come true. Ultimately, if we don't hit 30 by the end of the year, it's probably just right around the corner.
Oh, yeah,
So I
I
think
agree.
there's no doubt in my mind at some point next year we'll be above that.
I would agree.
We got another question here from looks like Taco Cat. Do you care if a coin is three nines fine versus four nines fine? This is actually a great question, and to me, it doesn't matter, right? Silver's silver. It's interesting. I did a video not too long ago with three nines fine silver coins. You're getting 1 full ounce of silver, and you're getting a little bit of copper thrown in there.
Hmm.
With four nines fine, you're getting exactly 1 ounce of silver as well, but slightly less free copper. So it's very silly, right? I
I love
mean,
how you say that. Free copper.
yeah,
It's
like
true.
either
Yeah.
way, you're getting 1 ounce of silver.
Mhm.
For silver investing, the standard is three nines fine. So to me, it doesn't matter. Honestly, I really couldn't care less.
And am I right in that some people sometimes get confused and think they're getting a little bit more silver when they see four nines, and they're
Yeah,
not?
they're not. No. Um,
Right.
yeah. Either way, you're getting 1 ounce of silver. It's just
If you were
refined a little bit more.
if you were melting it, it wouldn't matter much either, right? If because you do that.
Um, I will say four nines fine silver melts a little bit better, depending on kind of the impurities with three nines. I'm not particular. I'll melt both. Some people do care. I've heard of other people that pour silver. They really strongly prefer four nines. I've worked with it. I think it's great, but I wouldn't pay more for it.
I am Angel has two two questions in here. It's really one. I want to read this. This is important. I introduced a couple coworkers to silver, and one of them was commenting about how I must have a huge stack. I simply said no. I just occasionally buy a couple. How do you go about introducing people to silver without putting yourself at risk?
Wow, that's a great question. How do
Uh,
you do that, Yankee?
you do it carefully. You do it really carefully. You need to trust people before you tell them that you're a stacker. You can talk about it in general terms. Yeah, silver's, it's not a bad idea, but you don't want to give people you don't trust or you don't know well any ideas about your personal finances. I mean, you and I, SD, try to stay anonymous. We,
Yeah.
we don't want people to know. And it's important for us to trust those that we do know, do tell. And I keep close tabs on that in my personal life. So you got to be very careful. It's too bad because you want to tell everybody, especially once you got bit by the bug and you realize you got red pilled over the whole economy and everything that's going on with fiat currency and what's happening in the future, central bank digital currencies. You want to tell people about stacking. Be careful.
Yeah, I mean, you want to shout it from the rooftops, right? But
Right.
obviously, for security reasons, you simply can't do that. So, yeah, be very tactful with who you tell. And I think what you said, I just occasionally buy a couple. I think that's a great response,
Mm.
to someone who's saying, "Oh, you must have a lot of silver at your house." Nah, I
Yeah.
just buy it every now and again. Um,
Thunderstruck Homestead. Ooh, what do you think of that one? How do you envision bartering with 90% to work? I don't understand the point of 90%.
wow, I don't understand. Well, look, between
Ooh,
the two of us, I mean, you're the prepper stacker here, Yankee. How is someone going to be able to barter with 90%? I have done it before.
yeah.
We simply said, "Hey, look, this is the value of this. I'll pay you this much for
Right.
this," and it was no big deal. But what do you think? I mean, is this going to be
You
something that everyone's doing in the future?
you had to explain the value of the 90% before you did the barter, or
No,
did they know it?
this was someone who was into silver.
They knew it. See, that's the point. They understood, and
Yeah,
I don't think you have to envision it. Thunderstick. It's happening. Up here in New Hampshire, especially north of our state capital, Concord, it's happening. People at farmers markets, people doing bidding out business arrangements for work, supply. It is happening right now out west. I know this is happening, but again, it's the education that's so important. A person looks at a coin, they innately think it's money, but they won't understand its true value in silver until they're educated by it. So, one of the reasons why I think 90%, actually, there's two big reasons. One, that I think it's going to be one of the barter items in the future. is that it's easily recognizable and easily verified on the edge. It's quick. It's a quick barter. It's like boom, boom, date. Yes, I know what this is. Bang. There's no like, wow, what is this round? People will learn that it is more valuable than its face value. At some point, it will become, I believe, uh, more prevalent as a barter material. However, there are other things that will be bartered before, 90% silver or any types of precious metals, stuff for stuff. That's why I'm a prepper too. You got to have other things to potentially barter with besides that. But at some point that becomes untenable. You can't, do chickens with hammers and stuff. You need a currency. And I think 90% silver will fit that gap. I remember Tim always says gold is a barter between nations, silver is a barter between people. And I think that's true.
Yeah, and then obviously
Hmm.
14 silver dimes make 1 ounce of silver.
There
You
you
could
go.
just simply barter for smaller items with junk silver, as opposed to if you only had 1 ounce silver rounds, or God forbid, you only had kilo bars in your stack. It's nice to have the smaller pieces of silver,
Hmm.
and I do agree with you. I think people would definitely catch on.
Hmm.
We got another question here. This one's from Jay. Let's see. What level or range would the GSR have to drop to for it to make sense to convert some of your silver to gold? This is such a
But
great question.
whatever Silver Dragon says, I agree with.
You're asking when would it make sense? For me, I've talked about this before. If the GSR gets to 60 or below 60, I think it definitely makes sense to start converting some silver to gold.
Hmm.
If it gets down to 40, then yeah, it's go time. If you're
Hmm.
not already doing it by then, you're missing the train. So
Yep.
I would
Yep.
say you can look at starting to do it at 60. When it hits 40, you better get all of the ounces of silver into gold you want. If you wait for it to go any lower, you might just miss your
Gone.
chance.
Yeah. I wonder what the premiums will be because that's going to be interesting. If everybody with silver comes flooding into the LCS is saying, here's my silver, give me the gold. I wonder if they'll compensate for that. I wonder if they'll say, well, I'm going to make the premiums a lot higher so I don't have to do it. I just don't know what's going to happen with that type of scenario,
I think
practically speaking.
I think you're underestimating the FOMO that'll be taking place because for silver to get to 40 to 1, I
Mm.
mean it's gonna have to be significantly higher price than it is now,
Well,
right?
it happened in the 70s, 1979. It was 40 to 1.
And it also happened in 2011.
Yeah.
The ratio went down into the 30s.
It went way down. Yeah.
But I believe if silver goes to $50 an ounce, silver's at a new
Mhm.
all-time high. I think the
Mhm.
media is covering it very heavily at that point. People who have never bought silver before in their life are going to be flooding into the coin shops and online bullion dealers. Give me silver, and
Yep.
I think you're going to have no problem getting rid of your
Mhm.
silver. It's the getting the gold part that I agree
That is
might be
yeah,
challenging. Might be
that's what I'm worried
challenging.
about. Yep.
I just wanted to quickly answer
Yeah, go ahead.
one last question here
Sure.
from Henry. Silver that is tarnished, does that affect the price? I have several bars, wrapping them with plastic wrap. Will that
Mhm.
prevent tarnishing? Any way to keep air from getting to the bar certainly will help with tarnishing.
Mm.
Humidity, it's really the sulfur in the air that's going to make it turn colors. And so, yeah, certainly if you wrap them, that should help. But I would say overall, it typically does not affect the price too much. In fact, if something is beautifully toned, it could be even worth more money than something that's not toned at all. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. A lot of the silver that I have is super tarnished. If you look at junk silver, it's all weird colors of orange and dark brown, and and that doesn't affect the price at all with junk silver. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't I
absolutely.
wouldn't worry about it.
I also get the question a lot, should I clean my junk silver? You get that question a lot?
Yeah, it kind of seems like a waste of time to me. But if
I
you
agree.
have the time and you want to do it, knock yourself out. It's not going to affect the price. But that was everything you need to know about silver. Look, if there was any questions we didn't answer, feel free to put them down below in the comments section. And I want to say a massive thank you so much for watching. How do we finish these, Yankee? What do we say?
See you next time on Silver Pros.
Stack like a pro.